Hello there, good people. I'm Rob Shaw, and we're talking fantasy football. Some breaking news to go over. Tom Brady out for the count. The #1 player of last year's fantasy leagues. What to do, how to clean up the mess. That's exactly what they brought me in for, folks. All right, first of all, let's talk about the quarterback position. Obviously, you're going to have to pick someone up. There were some decent options out there, but let's start with Matt Castle, quarterback now of the New England Patriots. This is a guy who will have some fantasy value. The weapons are there. In fact, he probably has the best weapons in the NFL. He could throw to the big guy, Randy Moss. He could go to Wes Welker. He's got some good running backs. So on that note, Matt Castle does have some fantasy value. Don't expect any numbers similar to Tom Brady. They'll be a lot more conservative with that offense. And that takes us to the running game, where you have a couple of options right now. Everyone got excited in the beginning of the year about Lawrence Maroney, and he did all right in week 1, 10 carries, 51 yards. But I'll tell you what, he is not the lead option. In fact, you have to go back to last season when Sammy Morris went down with an injury. He was the top option for the Patriots running game, and it looks more of the same this year. 10 carries, 53 yards, the touchdown on the ground for him. Plus, he got the ball more often than not as a receiver as well, over 30 yards there. He had a very nice week 1. The fact that they don't have Brady means they're going to have to play it a little more conservative. Expect a 50-50 split from passing to rushing, and on that note, Sammy Morris is a guy who's going to have great fantasy value, probably even more so than Lawrence Maroney. But both of those guys' stock certainly does rise from this unfortunate incident to Tom Brady. All right, now let's talk about the passing game. What happens next? Randy Moss, the elite last year, record-breaking numbers, fantastic, but that can't happen again. Brady was unbelievable with him. Brady broke a record last year. You can't expect similar production out of Castle. So on that note, Randy Moss, I do expect some solid numbers, probably over 1,200 receiving yards, probably over 12 touchdowns, but nowhere near the numbers that he put up last season. So you have to be a little more conservative. Just a tough break for you if you drafted Randy Moss in the first round. As far as Wes Welker, oh boy, it's getting ugly. The one thing Brady was amazing at, or there's many things he was amazing at, but he was great at the horizontal pass, where he had a receiver lined up right next to him, and he threw it perfectly to him, not too hard, not too soft. Well, I don't know if Castle has that unbelievable soft touch. So on that note, Wes Welker, who did great in getting the ball and just sprinting from there, he's going to have a harder time getting those balls. And on that note, his numbers are going to go down, probably from what we expected to be a 1,000-yard season to probably around anywhere from 600 to 800. That's my guess. Wes Welker's value does take a hit. And that brings us to the third receiver, Jabbar Gaffney. No way, don't worry about him. No fantasy value if he even did have any. The fact is, Brady, again, one of his strengths, the ability to throw the ball around to different receivers. He had Moss, he had Stallworth last year, he had Gaffney last year, he had Welker, he had the running backs. Well, Castle has to prove that he could throw the ball to one wide receiver before we start expecting him to spread it out to 3 different ones. So I do think that's going to be a lot more difficult now to spread the ball around in that offense. And on that note, the man who's going to be missing in action is going to be Jabbar Gaffney, a talented receiver drafted out of Florida who would have been the #3 guy there, but now no fantasy value whatsoever. As far as some of the quarterbacks are going to take a look at, Chris Sims, Tim Rattay, don't worry about it. No fantasy value, at least not now. It will take an injury to Castle, or it would take some horrible, horrible slumps from Castle for them to take him out and put in a guy who doesn't know anything about the system that they have in place. So on that note, my friends, that's the fantasy impact. Unfortunate to see Tom Brady, #1 fantasy player of last year, won't have much of an impact in 2008. I'll see you next time right here at opensports.com.
For more great videos, check back every day on opensports.com.